Welcome to the Sefirot channel. Psalm 121 is one of the most beloved and well-known texts in the Bible, especially during times of trouble and uncertainty. It speaks directly to the hearts of those seeking comfort and protection in difficult times. This psalm belongs to a collection known as the Songs of Ascents, sung by the Israelites as they journeyed to Jerusalem, often through dangerous terrain. The path was uncertain, filled with threats like wild animals and thieves. The psalmist's trust in God as the protector of his people shines through each verse. Before we start, take a moment to reflect on your needs or the needs of those close to you. If you feel moved to do so, leave the names of those you would like to pray for in the comments below, and I will include them in my prayers. Even today, many Christians turn to this psalm for strength and hope in times of crisis. After all, who hasn't faced situations where they felt overwhelmed by life's challenges? Moments when we look around and ask, where does my help come from? Psalm 121 answers that question with emphatic confidence. Our help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. In this video, we will explore the deep meaning behind each verse, connect its message to other biblical passages, and discuss how we can apply these lessons in our lives today. At the end, you'll find the complete text of Psalm 121, with all its depth and beauty, historical and spiritual context. Psalm 121. To fully understand Psalm 121, it's essential to consider its context. This psalm is part of a collection of psalms used by the Israelites during their pilgrimages to Jerusalem, especially during the three major annual festivals: Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacle. The journeys were often dangerous, mountainous trails were treacherous, and travelers faced risks from wild animals and bandits. It was, therefore, both a physical and spiritual journey, where trust in God became indispensable. When the psalmist speaks of lifting his eyes to the hills, he may be referring to the surrounding mountains of Jerusalem, but it can also symbolize the challenges and obstacles we encounter in our own spiritual journey. As he lifts his eyes to these hills, the central question arises: where does my help come from? This question reflects the human longing for security and protection. However, the psalmist immediately leads us to the answer. Help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Verse-by-verse analysis. Verses 1 to 2. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. These opening verses introduce us to the psalmist's search for help. As he lifts his eyes to the hills, he reflects on the challenges that lie ahead. However, he quickly answers his own question with a declaration of faith. His help comes from the Lord. Here, the psalmist places his trust not in human or natural forces, but in the God who created heaven and earth. This trust in God as creator is a firm foundation, because if God is the creator of all, he surely has the power to protect and sustain those who trust in him. In Isaiah 40:28, we find an echo of this same trust. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary. His understanding no one can fathom. God's creation is a testimony to his absolute power, and trusting in him means trusting in the creator of the universe, the one who sustains all things. Verses 3 to 4. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Here, the psalmist expresses certainty that God is constantly vigilant. He will not let our foot slip. In those days, a fall or misstep during a journey could be fatal. For travelers, this was a real concern. Similarly, in our spiritual walk, we may stumble, but God is always beside us, guiding our steps. This God who never sleeps is also described in Psalm 46, verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. God's constant vigilance is one of the most comforting promises of this psalm. As we know, he is always attentive to our needs, regardless of the time or the severity of the situation. Verses 5 to 6. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. Here, God is described as a shade at our right hand, a powerful image of closeness and continuous protection. Just as a shadow follows us wherever we go, so too does the presence of God remain with us at all times. In the Middle East, the sun posed a very real threat during the day, as did the cold of night, represented by the moon. Yet the psalmist affirms that these natural forces hold no power over those who trust in God. We can connect this promise with Exodus 13:21, where God guided the people of Israel through the desert as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. He was their constant protection, just as He is our protection today. Verses 7-8. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. These final verses expand the promise of protection. God not only protects physically, but also watches over the soul. His protection is not limited to a single journey or moment, but lasts both now and forevermore. This protection is eternal, encompassing all dimensions of life and the afterlife. In Matthew 28:20, Jesus promises us, "And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." God's protection transcends time and space, assuring us that no matter what we face, He is with us. Application in the contemporary Christian life. Psalm 121 holds deep relevance for Christians today. In a world filled with uncertainties, crises, and challenges, the promise of a God who is ever watchful and protective serves as an anchor for our souls. No matter what situations we face, personal crises, health problems, financial difficulties, or even global concerns like wars and pandemics, the assurance that God is in control brings us peace. Many Christians today use this psalm in times of prayer, asking for God's protection over their families, homes, and lives. It's common to recite it in moments of danger or uncertainty, and there are countless testimonies from people who have found comfort and hope in its words. During World War II, for example, many soldiers carried small Bible verses with them, and Psalm 121 was one of the most cited as a source of strength amidst chaos. Similarly, we can apply the truths of this psalm to our daily lives. When we face moments of anxiety or fear, we can remember that God does not sleep or slumber, but is always attentive to us. We can trust Him to guide our steps and protect our souls, both now and for eternity. Conclusion: Psalm 121 is a powerful declaration of trust in God. It reminds us that no matter the circumstances, our help comes from the Lord, the Maker of all things. He watches over our lives, protects us from harm, and guards our souls forever. May this message bring peace and confidence to all who read and meditate on this psalm. Psalm 121. Let this psalm be a guide and refuge for your life, as it has been for countless people throughout the centuries. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the Maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore.